play MiniWarGaming's Beat Map Batrep.
Welcome back to Beat Map Batrep, Season 2, Episode 39, Eldar Dark Eldar vs. Tyranids, Eldar Dark Eldar turn 2. Starts off and casts Fortune on himself, and then Fortune on the remaining Kabbalite warriors. Finally found out what they were. And then he moves up, getting ready to engage with strikes. Fire prisms get into a better position. They just keep shuffling back and forth so that they don't get anywhere near my firing. And then he casts Doom. And you notice he's only using 2 dice. It's because he's in the Shadow of the Warp. Fires at the Gene Stealer with his fire, or Gene Stealers with his fire prism. Scatters a bit, but still manages to hit 6 of them. There should have been 6 dice there, but he also did roll the other one off camera. Manages to kill 2 out in the open. And then I make some of my cover saves, but not enough. 2 more Gene Stealers die, so that wasn't too bad. Firing his strength 9 at these guys, manages to miss perfectly, which is too bad because they're clumped up quite nicely. But he does get to fire his other weapon, which doesn't do any damage. Fires at the warriors with his guardians as well. And managed to inflict 1 wound, but that's about it. The other guys run up, trying to get ready to go into cover. And then he charges, which he does just fine. These guys had to go through difficult terrain. That's why he rolled 3 dice there. But he was nice and close. So they're running in there. Those Shrikes are in trouble. But thankfully they're initiative 1 because they went through difficult terrain. But his other guys get to attack at the same time as the warriors, and they manage to inflict 1 wound. And then the Shrikes hit back. 2 of them are attacking the warriors right there. And then they manage, he gets Fortune though, so he gets to reroll his saves. Then the other one attacks the witches and only gets 1 hit, does manage to wound though, and he does manage to fail the save twice. So managed to kill 1 guy. So tie combat so far, but then the witches get to go. Of course they have their witch blades, and we've got the Archon with his power fist thingy, and he by himself actually insta-kills. Oh wait, no, how did I make those saves? Oh, right, I had Feel No Pain because they had Endurance on them. I forgot that I had given them that. And now all the witches get to hit. They hit on 4s, and then that's how many attacks they get. And then they wound on 2s, and they re-roll because I had Doom. And you could probably guess that my guys have no way of possibly ever surviving that. So he destroys it, gets another point, so it is now 3-2 for the Eldar/Dark Eldar. And we head into Tyranids, turn 2. So, now it's my turn. Is a Doom of Malatai going to come in? Of course not. Can't come in on 3+ when all his guys are nicely clumped together. The Lictor does come in, but he decides to hide in the ruins because as long as he's alive, he gets -3 leadership to Eltrad. But as soon as he dies, he gets that back, and to be honest, the Death Leaper really isn't that good. He's not worth 140 points. The rest of my shooters decide to move back. Do take a wound when I went to dangerous terrain, but that's not too big a deal because they've got 3 wounds each. But I am moving back because I want to see how much damage I can deal by shooting first, and try to get into position for my Gene Stealers and my Death Leaper if he needs to assault. And of course my Shrikes, who are busy with the Dark Eldar Reavers, need to get in a better position as well. So basically trying to buy myself a turn where I get to shoot at him more than he gets to shoot at me. So I fire my Venom Cannon, which scatters back into his warriors, gets a nice solid hit, hitting 4 guys, only managing to wound 2 though. He does fail a save, but he does get to reroll, and he makes it. And it's the guy out front that's taking it. He's a 2+, so that's too bad. Then firing the rest of them and managed to finish off his warriors. So that brings us up to tie. We are 3-3. Now firing to this group. He's got his Archon out front, unfortunately, which means, sorry, that's not the Archon, that's the other guy, I can't remember his name, but he has a 2+ save re-rolled, which is ridiculous. Firing the Venom Cannon. Do manage to inflict some wounds, and then inflict a bunch of wounds with the Death Spitters. And he saves all those. Not one of those made it through. So that was a lot of wounds that he's just soaking up with that guy out front. But I didn't have anything else to shoot at, so that's just had to take a chance to see if I could pick him off like I did the other guy. Heading straight into Eldar, Dark Eldar turn 3. Once again shuffles his fire prisms, just to make sure he always has Jink if I ever decide to fire at him. The witches start running up. They really want to get into close combat. They do have a pain token at this point, which means they do have Feel No Pain. I just don't have it marked on there. And he gets another Perils of the Warp, but he rolls his 3 no problem, so he does not take a wound from that. Then the Fire Prism fires into the Gene Stealers. It only scatters a little bit, hitting 6 of them. And I do make 2 out of 3 cover saves, and they did have Feel No Pain at that point. I gave them Endurance last turn, I forgot to mention that. And they made their Feel No Pain. So unfortunately, he did not kill any of them. So he's having just about as much luck killing me with shooting attacks as I do have with him. Decides to fire the large blast into the warriors. It's a lower strength, but he's hoping to inflict more wounds, but he did not manage to. And then he fires with his, I think those are the Guardians or Avengers, one or the other. And let's see, managed to kill one guy and actually inflict a couple wounds on another one too. So actually doing some wounds to the warriors at this point, but just not enough. And there fails, double ones to wound any of those warriors right there. So not looking good for the Eldar, especially now that the Doom of Malantai is coming in. Scatters a little bit, but I can't mishap with this thing, so it just goes back until he's 1 inch away. Basically, the Doom of Malantai is within 6 inches of all 3 of his troops, and so that is going to be fun. But we'll see what happens in a second. Beginning of the shooting phase, that happens. The Shrikes then move forward. They're like, okay, we're ready for the kill. The Doom of Malantai is in position. Everybody else is in position to do some damage. Had to take a difficult or dangerous terrain roll there, and he's fine. Hiveguard are trying to move so they can start to chase down that fire prism. The Warriors are moving up too through difficult and dangerous terrain, but none of them take any wounds. I don't know why we pointed at that. Doesn't really matter. Do they take any damage? They do not. And then the Death Leaper runs in there as well, and he does not take any damage. So we hit all 3 of these. They will make a leadership test on 3d6. They fail it. They lose a wound for everyone they fail it by. The first group fails it by 1, but makes their cover. The second group fails it by a lot. They fail it by 8, and they fail 3 of their 4+ cover saves. So 3 of them die, bringing my wounds up to 7. The third group fails it by 2, thankfully. And but they make all their saves. So I'm up to, oh wait, no, 2 of them die. We forgot that they didn't have cover. I thought they had 4+ invulnerable, but they actually only had a 6+ armor, which they don't get to take. So I was actually up to 8 wounds there. I attempted to cast my psychic power, but unfortunately I had to roll 3 dice because of Eldrad, and you add them together, and I did not make it. So there's no big psychic blast there, but still he did his work. He's pulled out a lot of guys there, got himself up to a lot of wounds, so now he's going to soak up a lot of fire if he decides to fire at him. And then opening fire on his guys, taking out a few of his Guardians, fire into his Witches, unfortunately scatter back and only hit 2 of them with the Venom Cannon, and then fire lots of Death Spitters, inflicting lots of wounds, actually managing to kill the guy out front, because there was one guy slightly closer, but then he gets his 2+ saves, and he fails 2 of the rerolls, so he's down to 1 wound, but still soaked up a lot of wounds. Other group does the same thing, scatters off, hits the Spore Pod, but fails to wound it with the Venom Cannon, then fires the Death Spitters into that group as well. And once again, he gets his 2+ saves. He failed 2 of them, and he makes them, so they soak up all that fire as well. Death Leaper runs really slowly. It does not get hurt from the dangerous terrain roll, though. Rolling for leadership, though, the Guardians are running because they failed it. And then the Witches, are they going to run? They do not. He has a leadership of 10 with that guy out front. I keep calling him the Archon. He's not the Archon. The Archon was the Dark Eldar guy. Then charging with the Shrikes, he does get to Overwatch, does not kill any, but does manage to wound one. And then the Shrikes get in there, hoping to do some damage. The Warriors are also going to attempt to charge, but they fail. Oh, no, they got in there. They needed 5 inches, so they barely got in, avoiding all the difficult terrain. Then the Gene Stealers try to charge. They're going through difficult terrain, though, crossing over that defense line. They do have fleets, so they get to reroll, but they still fail it. But that hopefully will be enough to do a lot of damage with those Shrikes getting in there. But he is initiative 5 or 6 or higher. I think he's initiative 6 with the Witches. So he gets to go first, but does not manage to hurt any of the Warriors. Then he goes after the Shrikes, gets lots of attacks, and manages to take off 1 wound only, unfortunately. No, sorry, he kills 1 and takes off a wound. And then pile in with the Shrikes, and Eldrad has initiative 5 as well. Eldrad is going first. Well, just because he doesn't manage to do any damage, and then the Shrikes get to go. They're hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s, and then wounding on 3s, re-rolling. Tons of wounds, and he's decided to put them on, did he put it on the Archon first? No, because I had rending ones in there too. If he put it on, not the Archon, the guy that has a 2+ save. Tried to save him by shifting the weight of those hits around because I put the rending on him first, but he still failed his 2+ save. A lot of his guys died. And then the Warriors get to go in and attack. They're not as strong as the Shrikes, but they are hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s because of their Scything talents, but they're only winning on 3s, not re-rolling. And unfortunately, he puts it all in Eldrad, who makes, so far, all of his saves, and all of his saves. So he actually soaks up every single one of those wounds. But he does run, so we're going to roll for initiative. He has initiative 6, so he adds 5, that's 11, and I only add 1. So I do not catch him. He runs back 3 inches, so he'll still have a chance to regroup. But even when you regroup, you cannot run or assault. But I do get the point for killing his 1 independent character. So I am up to 4-3, so I've taken the lead again. See all sorts of little dice following guys around. Now that it's possible for each of these guys to have their own set of wounds, it does get a little messy with the wound counters. End of round 3. The Eldar, Dark Eldar allied list is not looking very good. They are falling. He's got his fire prisons for support, but his other guys are running. His one group is outnumbered, but can they come back? It is victory points. So watch round 4, click on the annotation, or click on the link below.